It was one of those sweltering evenings that makes you question your decision to ever leave the house, much less buy groceries. And by the time I pulled into my neighborhood, I felt like a human puddle sweat sticking to my back. The sky still radiating heat, even though the sun had already dropped behind the rows of cookie-cutter roofs. All I wanted was to get inside, crank the AC to a temperature my electric bill would never forgive, and collapse in front of the TV with a microwave dinner I could barely taste. But then I rounded the corner to my house, and you know what? For a second, I honestly thought I'd gone to the wrong address because parked smack in the center of my driveway was a shiny silver sedan, the kind of car that's always just been waxed, sitting there like it had every right in the world to claim my spot. And right next to it, hogging the visitor space, a bulky white crossover pulled in so crooked it looked like the driver gave up halfway through parking and called it good. I did the whole double check reading the house number, looking at the dorky little lawn gnome poking through my hydrangeas, and there it was, my place, no mistake. So now I'm stuck groceries sweating through their bags, traffic still ringing in my ears, and not a single square inch left to park. There's a line of cars forming behind me. Someone honks, and I'm left with no choice but to loop around and park 2 blocks away, hiking it back in the kind of humidity that makes your shoes feel like sponges. By the time I get to my porch, one grocery bag has given up the ghost and dropped a tomato splat right on my welcome mat. That felt about right. So now I'm tired, annoyed, and most of all confused. I set the rest of the bags down, march over to this silver sedan like I'm starring in some low-budget cop drama, and look for any hint of who owns it. No HOA sticker, no visitor pass, just a vanity plate that literally says, "Love to win." The crossover's not much better, dangling lavender air freshener pill bottle wedged in the cup holder, and a general aura of someone who doesn't care about the rules. I knock on a few doors, hoping someone will claim the mystery cars, but all I get are blank stares or not. My problem shrugs. Finally, Ron across the street leans out and says, "That's Nancy and her mom from the HOA. Careful dealing with them." That name, Nancy, hits me like a cold drink down the back. We've tangled before. She once sent me a multi-paragraph email about my recycling bin being out 45 minutes early. Another time, she left a note about how my garden gnome clashed with the neighborhood aesthetic. Nancy is the type who treats the HOA rulebook like gospel and wields it like a weapon. And her mom, she's like the shadow boss, rarely seen but twice as grumpy. Still, I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's an emergency, maybe it's just a fluke. So I walk down to their place only 2 doors down, but their bushes are trimmed within an inch of their lives, and they fly, both the American flag, and I kid you not, an actual HOA flag. Before I can knock twice, the door swings open and there's Barbara Nancy's mom eyeing me like I'm selling expired magazines. She's got a glass of lemonade condensation trailing down her fingers, and her voice is just as sweet and fake as the smile plastered on her face. "Yes," she says, and I explain as politely as I can that their cars are in my driveway and visitor spot, and could they please move them. She just takes a slow sip, says, "We won't be long. It's a free country, isn't it? Like that means she can park wherever she wants." Before I can argue, Nancy appears behind her arms crossed, giving me that pinched look she reserves for people who, in her mind, lower the tone of the neighborhood. She tells me dead serious that unless I have an HOA-approved sign, technically the driveway is communal property, so really I have no claim. I tell her I checked the handbook. It's my assigned space. She laughs, looks at Barbara like I'm the joke, and they close the door in my face, still chuckling. Now, I wish I could say I let it go, but come on, who could? I ate a cold dinner, replayed the scene over and over in my head, thought about calling the HOA, but realized Nancy basically is the HOA. Reporting her would be like calling the principal's office to complain about the principal. Around midnight, I wander out, hoping maybe the cars are gone, but no, they're still there, mocking me in the moonlight. The next morning, I leave a couple of polite, firm notes on the windshield's handbook citations, a little please, and head to work, hoping reason will win out. That evening, my driveway's clear, and I think, okay, maybe they got the hint. But what do I find stuffed in my mailbox? Both notes ripped in half, tucked in like a calling card. And wouldn't you know it, the cars are back in my driveway. At this point, it's clear this isn't an accident, it's a message. So I dig in. I write up a more formal letter, cite specific HOA bylaws, make it official, slip it in their mailbox and on their cars. The next day, the driveway's clear again, but there's my letter shredded and crumpled on my windshield like some kind of sick origami. Meanwhile, Nancy and Barbara are lounging across the street, lemonade in hand, queen bees surveying their domain, and I finally get it. This is a game to them, and I'm just the newest pawn. So it escalates. Every other night, the cars are back, and not just in the driveway blocking my front walk, forcing me to tiptoe across the lawn just to get inside. And then comes the real kicker, an orange violation slip taped to my mailbox. Unapproved signage, it says, referring to the tiny private driveway sign I'd stuck inside my own window. That's when I'd had enough. I take my whole folder of evidence photos, timestamps, ring footage down to the HOA office hoping for some help. Julie at the front desk winces, tells me quietly, Nancy's on the board, so it's complicated. Off the record, she says most people just wait Nancy out, let her move on to another victim. But I'm not most people. That night, after yet another run-in, I decide to go nuclear. I start reading every single page of the HOA charter and the city parking ordinances, looking for a loophole. And there it is, buried in the fine print. Homeowners have the right to call municipal services to remove unauthorized vehicles from their assigned spaces, provided they've documented the violation. So I gather it all, every photo, every timestamp, every email, and I call the tow company. The guy who answers, Travis, sounds unfazed. 2 cars at once. Send me the plates, I'll handle it. I don't sleep much that night, half anxious, half pumped. The next morning, I watch Nancy and Barbara leave for their weekly brunch. Both cars left behind, keys tossed in the air like a dare. Then right on cue, the tow truck arrives. Travis is all business, quick, methodical, doesn't even blink as he hauls both cars up onto the flatbed. It's almost beautiful, you know? Like watching karma pull up in a diesel-powered chariot. I stand there on the curb as he drives away, both trophies in tow, and the air feels lighter. The silence finally peaceful. A couple hours later, Nancy and Barbara return, and I watch through the blinds as Nancy storms over, demanding to know if I had their cars towed. I calmly show her the HOA bylaw, the city ordinance, all the documentation. Barbara calls it criminal. Nancy threatens to call the police. I just smile, hand them a copy of the complaint I've already filed with the HOA. And by the way, I CC'd the entire neighborhood email list. For a moment, the world stops. Then Barbara mutters something I can't catch. Nancy hisses, "You think this is over?" And I say no. I think it just started. That night, the neighborhood group chat lights up. Turns out, I'm not the only one Nancy's been targeting. People start sharing stories, screenshots of her passive-aggressive emails, memes with her face, and not a Karen, I'm the HOA underneath. By the end of the week, there's an emergency board vote, and poof, Nancy's name vanishes from the registry. Barbara spends 3 days getting her car out of impound, scraping off a bright orange sticker that reads, pending violation. After that, they stop parking anywhere near my house. The driveway stays clear, the visitor spot untouched. And you know, people start waving again, chatting on the sidewalk like the air's been let back into the place. One day I come home to a basket, cookies, a candle, and a note. Thank you. Finally, someone stood up to them. No signature, but I don't need one. Even Ron gives me a nod across the street. Nancy and Barbara still live here, sure, but now they keep to themselves, quieter, careful. Their reign is over. Their reign. Sometimes when the summer sky is pink and the world feels full of possibility, I'll see Nancy drive by, eyes darting away as I raise the hose to water the lawn. She knows. And I know I'm not the kind of neighbor you can bully out of what's rightfully theirs. Justice doesn't always come with handcuffs or courtroom drama. Sometimes it's a tow truck rolling away, leaving your driveway cleaner than it's ever been. So here's my advice. If you're dealing with your own Nancy or Barbara, don't let it fester. Know your rights, keep your receipts, and when the time comes, tow the damn cars. If you enjoyed watching karma play out, hit like, subscribe for more stories, and tell me in the comments, have you ever faced down a neighbor from hell? And did you get your own kind of justice? Because in my book, nothing tastes sweeter